What's up, everybody? It's that challenge dude, also player 644 on Beast Games. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you go watch my first video right there, which was all about episode 0, the part of Beast Games filmed here in Las Vegas, where they took us from 2,000 down to 1,000. But we're here today to talk about episode 1 of the actual Beast Games on Amazon, which by now, if you did watch that video, you'll know that I made it to. Now, it was kind of weird. We were in like this purgatory where we were still in the game but not playing for about 6 weeks after the filming of the Las Vegas part until the first episode of the actual Beast Games. So it was really weird. But the point is that after those 6 weeks, they flew the 1,000 of us out to Toronto. It was crazy. We landed in this crazy thunderstorm. I ended up sitting on the tarmac for about 3 hours after we landed because the airport in Toronto lost power and we couldn't go to our gate. So it was already a crazy start. But eventually we got off. We met up with other contestants in the terminal, and then they put us on a bus and took us to our hotels. Now, there were several hotels that all the contestants were staying at, obviously with 1,000 people, but I ended up staying at the Hilton right near the airport, which I guess was like the home base of the production, because they had a lot of staff there. And then we'll talk a little bit more in a bit about that. But basically, we landed, I spent the night in the hotel, and then we had one full day. So in the morning, I got fitted for my uniform, and they made it and all that. And that's when I took my contestant photo, which I'll put up right here. That's my official contestant photo right there. So I took that, and then we had all day to just kind of chill. We had like a dining hall where they had meals for us that were catered, which were great. We could also play like board games in there, talk with people. And then I spent a good amount of the day just like chilling in my room and then coming down and chilling and coming down. And they had a pool. A lot of people went swimming. I didn't do that. I went for a run in the gym on the treadmill. And they had this sweet kind of like quarter-sized basketball court. And I ended up playing basketball for a couple hours with people down there. And that's where I really started to make some connections, right? So when we would see each other in the other place, we'd be like, hey, you know, you're the shooter, bro, or you're the guy that can make 3-pointers, or, you know, that kind of stuff. So that was when I started first forming like some real like tight connections with people that could help me in the game potentially. But anyways, we spent the whole first day there, spent the night in the hotel a second night, and then the next morning is when they started organizing all of us. So they dropped all of our uniforms off at our rooms. We changed. We went down. That's when we turned in all of our electronics. We turned in our bags. All of our stuff got turned in and tagged that morning. And then they sent us over to this big conference room where they brought the people from the other hotels to our hotel. So we were at like I said, the kind of headquarter hotel. And they lined all of us up in this giant conference room, and we went over legal stuff, and we had the doctor talk to us, and we had the producers talk to us, and all that kind of stuff. And then it got real chaotic because they had to line us up perfectly for the opening shot of episode 1. So let's get into the actual video here, and then I'll talk a little bit about how we got to this point.
I am standing on $5 million of real money, the largest grand prize in entertainment history. And competing for this $5 million are these 1,000 contestants. Come on in.
What you are witnessing is real. A record-breaking number of...
All right, so I'll pause right here. This shot of us all walking out onto our platforms had to be meticulously designed so that the first people to walk out were the people in the very backs of the rows. And then the second people to walk out were the second to last row, and so on and so forth, all the way to the front. So we sat in that conference room as they called out like 12 numbers at a time for hours to get everybody organized. They'd be like, 500, 564, 663, 748, 830, and they would call us up one by one into like a group of 10, 12 people that would go sit on the bus together. And then when we got to the actual filming location, they would call us off the bus and organize us again. And then we had to get organized on the stage again. And if you can imagine doing that for 1,000 people, yeah, it took hours. So we started in the conference room at probably about 10 a.m. We did not walk onto our platforms at the set until probably like 5 p.m. So that was about 7 hours later we actually walked out onto the set.
1,000 players is currently stampeding this arena.
But only one of these 1,000 people you are seeing will have what it takes to beat everyone around them and take home this generational wealth of 5 million.
So you can start seeing now as they're starting to do like close-up interviews of people. This was probably, I don't know, this wasn't too long after we were out on our platforms, because when we got fed right before we went in, we went onto our platforms, and once we were all there, they started doing like individual interviews with people. And you'll see on the shirts of people too, we all had microphones. That's 1,000 microphones that every single person had, so they could catch audio from all of us at any time to pull, whatever they wanted. So it was attached to the platform. We run a string up through our pants, through our shirt, and then the microphone was attached right here. So you can see that. And then, of course, each platform had an iPad, and each platform had a water bottle for us to drink while we were waiting. And, of course, I have my water bottle. They did send it to us. Yeah, so we sat in here for a while waiting. We probably didn't start filming the first actual challenge per se until probably around like 10 o'clock or so. So it was about another 5 hours from entering until we like actually started filming.
Throw 10 minutes on the clock. You will have this 10 minutes to make a decision. Stay in the game or press the button on your tablet and eliminate yourself. Those of you that eliminate yourselves will evenly split this $1 million I'm standing behind. So if only one of you eliminates yourself, you'll become a millionaire. But if 50 of you eliminate yourselves, you'll each get $20,000. So be honest. Do you really think that you are that 1 in 1,000 player, the rightful champion winner of that $5 million?
Okay, so we were speculating heavy during this time. You have to remember, we've just been standing here for hours. So I didn't really super know any of the people that were standing around me from the Vegas section. They weren't people that I had talked to a lot. But in this time period, you've got to get to know these people. You're standing here for hours and hours, and if you've never done anything like this before, when you have no phone, you have no TV, you have nothing, all you have is the game to think and worry about, you really start forming these bonds with people really quickly. Like, these were my brothers and sisters out there. Like, we were going to war together. And yes, we're competing against each other, but just like in Vegas, the best way to move forward when there's a lot of people is to work together. It's easier to get a bunch of people through together than just yourself at this point. So at this point, I was talking to everybody around me, and we were making really tight connections. So I actually ended up making a chart as soon as I got home with all of what I called my column buddies that were around me. So I was standing in the middle, and then to my left was Matt, who you'll see a close-up of later. To my right was Liz, and then up in front of me was Wes in front of me, and then behind me was Pavel and Kevin. Those are the people that I'll probably be talking about most in this episode, just because they were the ones right around me, but there's some context for you guys. Yeah, so you see everybody freaking out here. We had been speculating for hours on what the first game was going to be. We really thought that the iPads were going to be used for a game. Like, we thought there were going to be like colors flashed on the screen, and it was going to be a memory game. So we were saying, like, you remember the first three, I'll remember the next three, you remember the next three. We thought it was going to be like a sequence challenge, or we thought maybe there'd be like a trivia challenge involved, and all of us could help with that. But we definitely thought the iPads were going to be, like, we were going to be actively on the iPads having to play some kind of game. And we knew there would probably be like bribe challenges and stuff like that, but we had no idea what this first challenge was going to be. So it was very surprising to hear. Yeah, this was crazy. But it was also a relief to me, because I knew there was no chance I was eliminating myself, because I wanted to go as far as I possibly could. I was legitimately here to win the $5 million. So there was no chance. So I knew this was 100% mind control, and I'm not self-eliminating at this point. So I was like, all right, I'm going to make it at least through the first challenge, because I'm not getting out. So that first guy that pressed it there, that was not even, like, I mean, you can see the background. That was only like 20 seconds in to the 10-minute challenge. He was the very first one. As soon as we hit it, it was like, all right, game on. The question now is how many people are going to join him?
There's 2 minutes left. There's 2 minutes left. There goes another one.
I ain't taking nothing.
All right, so as you see, it's counting down. And at this point, there's about a minute left in the challenge. And 11 people have self-eliminated, which means if no one else did, they would get $90,000. So at this point, you know, I definitely wasn't going. But I was thinking, man, these people are going to get a good chunk of change just for pressing a button on an iPad. It's wild. So, at this point, you can see it's paused. 19 people have pressed the button. And this was, and I'm not kidding you, we were at 19 with 1 second left. 1 second left, because we had a big screen on either side of the stage that told us how many people had pressed at any given time and how much money they were currently winning. So when it went to 0, the clock said 19 people, $52,631 apiece, right? And I thought, all right, maybe a couple people pushed at 1, but at minimum, all these people that just self-eliminated are probably winning at least like $40,000, right? And I was like, that's crazy. But then this happened.
No way.
In the end, the total amount of button presses was 52 people.
There you go. So we went from 19 to 52 in 1 second, which was crazy. But I mean, they're still walking away with $19,000. Now, after taxes, you know, that's probably, I don't even know, $11,000, $12,000. But, I mean, just to show up here and walk away with over $10,000 that's crazy. But, I mean, chump change compared to what I was hoping to get. And I was really there for money, yes, but I was also there for the experience. I've waited like 20 years of my life, 15 years of being old enough to apply. I've been applying to shows like this, 15 years, you know, Survivor, Big Brother, Amazing Race, The Circle, Squid Game. I've been applying to these shows for like 15 years. It's been the biggest dream of my entire life to get on a show like this. And so I was finally there. There was no way I was just going to leave. Like, I've been dreaming about this forever. But it was still crazy to see people win that money just on night 1.
Which means,
Congratulations! You each just won a little under $20,000.
Okay, so they immediately jump into challenge 2, which is crazy. This entire first episode is supposed to look like we just did it, you know, like back to back to back. All that we did the whole first night was film the self-elimination challenge for the money. We started filming that at like 10, and we didn't leave our platforms and go back to the hotels until probably about 3 o'clock in the morning. We got back to the hotels probably about 3:30, 4 o'clock or so. So that's all we did the first night because it took so long to get us on all of our platforms and film that opening shot and get everything situated properly. That's all we did. So we went back to the hotels, spent the night, woke up the next day, and probably I want to say around like 3-ish p.m., we went back to the stage here. We didn't have to line up in a specific way again, obviously, because it looked like we were already all there. So we went back around 3 o'clock, and we started filming for the second challenge here, probably around 8 o'clock or so, about 8 p.m. at night. And this is when we were all starting to like really speculate again. We were really confident that this was going to be some kind of team-based challenge. We just didn't know specifically like how the teams were going to be formed. But we were really thinking it was going to be team-based. So we were right. Team challenge.
And for the first game, you will all be competing as teams.
So 80 people on each row is crazy.
This row is a team. This row is a team. You get the point. Each massive row of 80 players will be working together. Yeah, but I wouldn't cheer quite yet. And that's because in order for your team to move on, someone must sacrifice themselves.
Now, we didn't necessarily expect it to be like this. But I started freaking out because I know that nobody around me is going to eliminate themselves, right? We were all in it for the long haul. But all it takes is one person. Now, after it was announced that that's what the challenge was going to be, we actually had another like 2 hours of setup time before the challenge was filmed. So we got the rules when he was announcing it, and then we had to wait 2 hours before we filmed. So during that 2 hour period, we were all running up and down our rows talking to people saying, would you eliminate for us? Would you eliminate? Would you think about eliminating? And I could not find anybody that said they were going to eliminate themselves. So I was getting so nervous that I was not going to be one of the people moving through this challenge. And that sucks because you really don't have any control over it. You know what I mean? I really wanted challenges where it relied solely on me, like the first one. I didn't eliminate myself, and so I moved on. And I wanted skill-based challenges that could move me on because I was really confident that I could do that. And this is just wild because you really don't have any idea or any control over your own fate. So they just showed there a couple clips of this guy named Sifu. He was really cool. He was on Survivor. So everybody was kind of like, a lot of people were like talking to him and trying to like get in groups with him because they're like, he's played a game like this. He must know what he's doing. But yeah, it was cool. I didn't talk to him a lot, but I did talk to him a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna pause really quick. That was a quick shot of Dan, who was also on the first season of Squid Games. I'm sure a lot of you recognize him. I talked to him a little bit in Vegas too. Not a lot. I wasn't in like a tight group with him, but there were a lot of people on this show that have been on other shows previously. I think they really brought some of those people in to see if they went far, and then like, you know, it's already a familiar face, which can, you know, help with some views or everything. But yeah, let's keep watching.
Whoa! That was good! Let's go! Stay! Congrats! Wait, come on, quick! Please!
What's holding you back?
Somebody else might do it. Somebody!
Yeah, so the very, very first row to go was the very far one. It was this older guy named Brett, who actually sat by on the bus in Vegas. He was the first one to push with his row. I'm talking within like 10 seconds of the timer going off, he went bang. So this was insanely chaotic. You literally had 1,000 people screaming at each other, somebody press it, somebody press it. And then other people cheering, like 80 people cheering at a time. Every time their row would light up green, there's cheering. There's more people screaming. Things, as they're getting pressed, it's getting more chaotic. It's getting more desperate. I mean, it really was incredible to be a part of. It was wild. So at this point, we're down to 5 rows, right? I was in a row at this point that had not been pushed. So there's only spot for 2 more rows to get pushed. And I was absolutely freaking out. I was like, you know, I started freaking. But then right after that row went, my row was the next one to go. Boom. That girl right there that just said, don't forget me, she was the one in my row that went for it. So we were the second to last row to move on. And I just remember just losing it when I saw my box turn green. I could not believe that I had made it through. It was just pure elation. Boom! And just like that, here's a shot of Dan right here. His row got eliminated. And if this isn't proof to you that things were not rigged in here, they weren't. Everything was 1,000% fair. So right off the bat here in the first challenge, some of the people I've talked about, Dan from Squid Games, gone. Sifu in the very first row, gone. The first challenge. And if you look at the way things were designed, the high 3 out of the 4 rows were all next to each other. Why? Those were all the high numbers of the flags from Vegas. These were the people that were the most competitive, that were the most, that had the most strength or the most agility or the most speed. These were the people that, I'm not saying they were the most strategic because a lot of strategic people waited until I went to have a better chance at a flag, but these were the like crazy athletic competitive people. The numbers below 100 up through 100 in the 200s. And so to see all of these big, strong, crazy people go out immediately in the first challenge to let you know, like, dang, this is real. And it makes sense, right? Why would anybody from these super, super, super confident rows eliminate themselves? They all thought that they were going to win this game. And then it came back to bite them in the end. It's just crazy. So 714 here is cool too. He's from Vegas. His name is Jeff. He was hilarious. I hung out with him a little bit in Vegas. Dude was super funny. I'm glad he got a little bit of time here. So this was the first time that we saw the trapdoors used, obviously up to this point. They eliminated all the people who self-sacrificed first. And this whole process of getting all of these trapdoors set and all of the people prepped on how to be safe and everything, that took forever. So during the time period, it was actually from the time the challenge ended until the first people got dropped here was like 2 hours. And during that 2 hour time, everybody in my row was going back to thank the girl who eliminated herself, thank her for letting us move forward. Yeah, so I think every person at least went back and shook her hand or gave her a hug and said thank you. Then they put us all back on the platforms to film all of the people who eliminated falling first.
All right. Oh, this is terrifying.
Oh my God!
All right. That was diabolical.
And then there was a good hour of waiting in between each row being dropped. So between the 3 rows that are getting dropped here, that was over 3 hours of time. And I'm telling you, watching it live was just as insane as watching it on TV. It was wild to see. The one going all at the same time was crazy too. Still not as good for the other one. And then the last one where it just went like one at a time, you know, that was cool too. But I still like the first one the most. All right, so now I'm feeling pretty good. I've made it through the first 2 challenges. And again, this took the whole night to film, especially with all the dropping and everything. So we filmed this again from, I don't know how many hours, but all night. This one got it done even later. It was probably about 4 o'clock in the morning when we got done filming, and they sent us back to our hotels for another night. This night I actually got sent to a different hotel than the one I had been at with some new people, so I got to meet and talk with new people. But again, send us back to the hotels again before, you'll see here in a minute, before the 3rd challenge. So it's a whole nother day later again. All right, so this guy gets a good interview here, 625. This is Kato. I talked to Kato quite a bit on the second, after this self-elimination or self-sacrifice challenge. When we went back to the hotels that night, when I went to a different hotel, I actually had a lot of conversations with Kato. I sat at a table with him when we were waiting to get assigned our rooms, and we were thinking the next day there might be some kind of challenge where you needed to nominate a leader, and then that leader could take bribes or potentially eliminate themselves again to save their team. This guy was in my column that had been saved, and he was advocating for himself to potentially be that voted leader. He was very confident. Everybody believed him. I believed him. He was a super cool guy. And he was like, yeah, I will sacrifice my guys to save you. But obviously, I want to make it as far as I possibly can. So if there's any kind of bribe, I'm not taking anything. There's no amount of money that I'm going to take to get rid of 80 other people. You guys are all cool. Let's all go far together. So that's Kato. I talked to him, and yeah, I think he was one of the people we were considering, because it wasn't just him, but he was one of the people we were considering nominating a leader if it came to that. All right, so now I've made it to the top 705
Are you guys
people.
ready for the next challenge?
All right, there you go. Yeah, that's Matt. That's one of my column buddies. He stood right to the left of me. Matt, if you're watching this, you're awesome, dude. We talked a lot, so that's the first shot you really have of anybody that was around me, though. All right, so again, this was like a full 24 hours after we had started filming the self-sacrifice challenge. So we come back the next day, and when we walked in, we saw all of these blocks lined up next to each of our podiums. So there was crazy speculation on what was going to be done with these blocks. A lot of us did think we were going to build a tower of some sort. We thought we were going to potentially need to memorize shapes and then place the shapes in a certain order, and it would be in like multiple rounds. We didn't know. But we saw these blocks as soon as we walked in, and like every day, it was like 4 or 5 hours from walking in until actually playing. So the speculation was rampant. I tell you, that's one of the hardest parts, is waiting to find out what you're doing, knowing a little bit about it, but not knowing exactly what it was useful for. I mean, we came up with like thousands of ideas on what it could be, and we were still wrong, of course, on exactly what it was going to be. So my strategy was, as soon as the timer started going, I built my entire tower flat on my platform first, so that I could mess around with it and I knew nothing was going to drop off of my tower. So I built it on the ground first. Once I had what I thought was a good tower built on the ground, I pulled it apart piece by piece and then rebuilt it on top of my red block. My only thinking going back is that I did it a little too quickly. I had my tower sitting on top of my red block with 5 minutes left on the clock. I wish I would have gotten it up there with maybe like 2 minutes so that I could take in a little bit more time to look at it. But I was just so nervous about making sure my blocks were sitting on top of the red block that I was just like, I got it done so quick. Even though I was super nervous at this point, this was an opportunity to completely be on myself, right? If I lost, it would be my own fault, which I liked a lot more than the previous challenge, because I really had nothing to do with myself. It was up to somebody else whether I was going to stay or not. But this block challenge was 100% up to me, and I wish all the challenges had been like that, because I feel like confidently I could get through those. But, you know, it is what it is. But you can see everybody here was building. It was crazy the different strategies that people had. But again, mine was up with about 5 minutes, and I just went right back to the corner of my platform, and I just sat there staying as still as I possibly could. Now, as we're building, this is when things get crazy too, because up to now it had been like not a lot of people. But as I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, this guy 2 behind me has just fell. Oh, this guy 5 over here, I see him fall. This person over here, I see them drop a block. There was a guy kind of up kitty corner to me, Jason, who was cool. With like 3 minutes left, I watched him fumble a block right off of his stand. And like this is when it got like super real, I feel like. Because it was just like nondescript. You could see things falling like here and there and here and there. But it still didn't seem like a ton of people. And it had to be at least 100 people. And there was no way to tell how many people had actually fallen. So when the timer went out, my tower was standing and it seemed really stable. So when the timer ran out, I was pretty confident. All right, so my tower, like I said, I thought I was really stable. And after about 5-ish minutes after the timer stopped, I was just sitting there looking around, and all of a sudden my tower just went, boop, done. And the devastation that I felt is indescribable. It was like slow motion. I just watched my tower just, boop, done. And at this point, I saw obviously other towers that had fallen, people that had dropped their blocks, but I thought 1,000%, I thought I was done. All of the 4 closest people around me, all their towers were standing. I literally was laying on the ground, like in the fetal position, because I thought I literally just lost myself the $5 million like that. And it was so quick, I couldn't believe it. So yeah, I was, at this point, I was really upset. Now, as more towers started falling and I started looking around more, I just prayed and hoped that there were more than 100 people that had fallen before me, but I had no idea. And this part where they actually went through and had to timestamp every single tower that fell, I am not kidding. This took like between 5 and 6 hours. So for like, I'll just say 5. So for 5 hours, I sat on my platform having no idea if I was eliminated or not. No clue. Just sitting there being like, was I eliminated? Was I not? I had no idea. 5 hours. It was excruciating, just sitting there having no idea. So after my tower fell, there were a couple people behind me. So next to Kevin was Tim. Kevin and Tim both of theirs fell while we were waiting, but they fell after me. So they were more confident than I was that they had moved on. But still, it was just like over time, like every couple of seconds, you'd hear one fall, you'd see another one fall, you'd see another one fall, and it was just wild.
3, 2, 1, go!
So the second he says, let's see who eliminated, my platform stayed white. It didn't turn red. And I tell you, the relief I felt was insane. How did 100 people fall before me? My tower was only standing 5 minutes after the timer went off. Now, they don't show this in the episode because we obviously never got to it, but I think they figured that the towers were going to stand a lot better than they did, because they actually had a red ball that was about this big inside of each of our block, in the red block, which you can see a little bit. In the red block, there weren't blocks, there was a red ball. And the idea was that after 30 minutes, after the timer had gone off, if there were still less than 100 that had fallen, they were actually going to have us take our balls out and throw them at other people's towers until 100 had fallen. I'm glad that we never got to that, because that would have been ruthless. But that was a part of the challenge that you guys are never going to know about unless you hear it from me first. So as per usual, it took forever to drop all these people. All right, so I've made it to the top 605 people now. Here's where things get even more crazy.
To our city! Let's get to the city, all right?
So this, they said, had to be the last night of filming, like schedule-wise. So this night went really long. We probably finished that first challenge. We started a little bit earlier in the day than we had the other couple of days. So we probably ended that first challenge around, I want to say 1 o'clock in the morning. And then probably around 2 a.m. or so, because we had to clean up all the blocks that had fallen, put them back in the storage containers so that it didn't look bad for the shots. So it was probably about 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning when we started filming the final challenge here. Yeah, at this point I'm feeling great. I'm like, I don't know what this last challenge is, but like I made it through 3. I am going to the freaking city, man. I was so pumped. We got an email before we even left that after the first episode, there was going to be the city that people moved into. And I told my wife when I left, like, obviously I want to get as far as I can, but I feel like if I can at least get to the city, if I can at least get to episode 2, I'll be really satisfied with what I've done. And at that point, anything is possible. So that was my number one goal, was at least just get to the city, take that step, and then see where it takes me from there. Right, so obviously we're speculating on what the next challenge was going to be. We didn't realize there was going to be another challenge where like a bunch of people got eliminated in a team. But I mean, I was speculating. But now, instead of going up and down, we're going from side to side. So now some of these people on my left and right, like Matt and Liz, are people that I'm going to have to rely on. I mean, I was confident in both of them. They were big-time competitors, and just like me, they wanted to go super far, and they weren't going to leave for anything. But what I was worried about was the people on the far end, to my right, because I only had a couple people down to my left. I had more people to my right, and these were people down here that obviously I had seen a lot during the challenges, because I could look down my row. But these were people I had barely talked to up to this point. And you have to think, at this point, by the third night, we've been standing on these platforms with people around us for like a combined like 24 to 27 hours. We've been standing on these platforms over the course of 3 nights. So you really have these tight bonds with the people around you, but not necessarily with the people on the far end. And so I was confident, but also I was a little worried because I didn't even know these people down on the other end. All right, so this is my row. They're talking to 232 here. You see 400, you see 560 down there. That's Liz. There I am. There I am, 644. This is your first shot of me in this episode. You see me, I'm going like this with my arms. I was feeling confident right now, but I'm just kind of walking around. You can see Matt there just stoically looking forward. It's funny how everybody, takes this moment. I was yelling up and down, but yeah, there's me. This is my first real, shot in the episode here. All right, for the first bribe comes out, they bring out $10,000. They run a clock of 10 minutes for each bribe. First bribe comes out, 10,000. The 10 minutes fully go, nobody takes it. So I was like, all right, no surprise. Nobody took the 10,000. You could have had that earlier. Why would anybody take 10,000 at this point? The clock runs down. He brings out the 20,000. So 20,000 comes out. I was like, no one's taking 20,000. You could have basically had that before too. Why would anybody take 20? There it is. The first bribe has been taken. 20,000. What are you doing with 20,000? You could have had that earlier with the 19 whatever number on the first day. Why wouldn't you wait till at least 30 to get more? I don't know. But this 20K got pushed. It wasn't right away. It was probably about 3-ish minutes left on the clock. So a full 7 minutes had gone with the 20K here until somebody hit that button.
Hey! Wait, what?
Somebody took the 20K.
Dude.
Dang.
And what do you know? Notice anything? Look, that's 400. 232. Yes, that's my row. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe this dude sold me out for $20,000. And I don't know. To be honest, you'll see here in a second, so I'm going to play my clip, then I'll talk a little bit more about it. I did get a line in the show, which is pretty cool, right? I figured since I was the very first row eliminated that you might get a shot of me, and you do, so let's watch that.
Bro, that's crazy. I felt so secure with the line.
Yeah, we're done.
All right.
So there I was. I say, yeah, we're done. Put my hands up. It didn't hit me right away. I was just really upset. And then after they went and started interviewing him, like, this is the most devastating I've ever felt in my life. I was so convinced that I was going to the city, and I couldn't believe that I was the first row eliminated in this challenge. And the worst part now is that I just had to sit there knowing that I was eliminated as the rest of the challenge went on. God, this is hard to watch. I'm gonna be honest. To wait 15 years for an opportunity like this and to have it stolen away from me by someone else, completely out of my control. All right, here's a close-up shot of Liz crying. When they came by, so Matt came by and interviewed every single person in my row after we had been eliminated, and they did like a close-up camera shot of each one of us talking about what had just happened. And she was the only person in the row that was like full-on crying. So as they were filming this, I was like, guaranteed this shot of her crying is going to be on the show. I know it. And sure enough, there it is.
What is it? Like, it just didn't do anything.
There was 8 players in that row, which
There I am. The X is literally so big here. You can't even see me. Yeah, and the reason I made it harder too is because nobody took 30,000. Nobody took 40,000. 10 minutes for each one. And nobody took either one of them. So then it goes to 50,000 here before somebody takes it.
50 grand is a lot of money.
Yeah, once it got to 50, people started dropping like flies. They gave out 50, 50, 50. That's when it really got crazy. And just remember, I'm just sitting here the whole time knowing that I'm already eliminated. And each time they gave out the 50, they restarted the clock at 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. All right, so this guy right here was 2 rows ahead of me. So this lady right here for 50,000, she was like 4 or 5 rows behind me. So I remember watching her push it too. So boom, that 80,000 right there. Do you remember when I talked about Kato earlier in the video, who was saying, I won't go for anything, I'll save you guys? That's him right there. He took the 80K, which is wild and shows again how you can't trust anybody. And in that moment, people's minds, when the money's in front of them, their minds will change. Crazy. So at this point, he says there's 508 people left. So we're thinking, all right, there's going to be one more group that's eliminated. I'm just laying on the ground at this point. I don't even really care what's going on, but you know, I'm still interested because I want to see if anybody around me is getting eliminated. So with 508, we're like, all right, there's going to be one more round. All right, so the bribe has been taken. We're pretty sure that the challenge is over at this point. So everybody that's on a white square is going to the city. I'm looking around. Obviously, it's still a lot of people, but you know, I'm like, okay, challenge is over. So when he says there's 501 people left, I'm like, how is that even possible? This is like the most perfect thing that could happen for this episode. Like, you couldn't even script it to be better than that. 501? Are you kidding me? Wild. Boom. Boom. Literally 2 rows behind me. Whose row is that? Kevin and Tim. Tim was super cool. He was there with his daughter. His daughter got to move on to the city. He did not. Kevin was also super cool. Kevin, if you're watching this, love you, dude. Kevin was the other person we were really considering voting for if there was some kind of team captain, because he would have 1,000% eliminated himself to save people. And there's also 1,000% chance that he would not have taken a bribe to eliminate his row, which obviously you can see he didn't take 100,000 to eliminate his row. Yeah, so this was, like I said, 2 rows behind me. So I watched this all go down, and I just felt so bad. Let me know in the comments, guys. Honestly, I was happier that I got eliminated at 20,000 than 100, like they did, because they were literally the last row. They were 1 person away from going to the city. 1 person. And they were the very last row. I was the first row, so like I never stood a chance. My guy was taking money no matter what. If it wasn't in the round we went to, he would have eventually taken something else. So I was done. I was done no matter what. But this row was 1 person away. So let me know in the comments, like I said, would you rather have been in my position where you were eliminated for 20K right off the bat? Or would you rather have been in this position where you got eliminated as the last row, but your guy got $100,000, so it's like, all right, he took $100,000. I'm more okay with getting eliminated like that because that's a crazy amount of money. So now this was brutal too, because I'm sitting here knowing I'm eliminated, listening to 500 other people cheer and scream and be excited, and I get to see people all being excited as I'm sitting there in absolute devastation, knowing that my dream has been absolutely ruined, and I couldn't even make it through a single freaking episode. All right, so in this scene, you can see me right there. I'll circle myself, 644. This was one of the worst parts too. Everybody else was parading out, going to the city, and all of the people that got eliminated in this last challenge, they made us stay on our platforms all by ourselves. So we watched 500 other people stampede out to continue the game, and the 100 of us that got eliminated in this challenge had to stay in the room all by ourselves. Yeah, brutal, brutal, brutal. All right, so in this final shot here, I'm gonna circle where I was. You can't really see me because I'm standing directly behind this guard right here. But as you can see, there were several rows right around me that all got eliminated. So several people that I had talked to that I was close to that all got eliminated in this challenge with me. And here's 625 right here. I'll circle him too. That's Kato, the guy I was telling you about, who said he wouldn't self-eliminate for anything and then took the 80K. And yeah, the only thing that made it better is that I know there were 100 other people that were in the exact same situation with me. 100 people that have all been trauma bonded by getting eliminated like this with no control whatsoever. Now, falling through that platform was wild. I've never done anything like that, obviously. They came through and safety prepped us, so they were like, bend your knees a little bit, keep your arms straight down, and then the dropping was crazy. You just straight, boom, drop, like instant. And it was about a 6 to 7 foot fall straight down into a foam pit. And then when you landed in the pit, they had people come by and open the doors, and then you would get out of the door underneath the set, and then we had to walk all the way down to the ends of the rows, which took a while to get out processed. 493 players left, and I'm not one of them. So yeah, that was it. I'm done. I'm eliminated. My dream is over. I didn't even make it through one episode. After 3 days of filming, I'm done. So they brought us down. They out-processed, we got all our electronics, we got our bags, we got all of our stuff, and they got us back to our hotel rooms. Like I said, since we did 2 that night, I didn't get back to the hotel until about 7:30 in the morning. So I had probably been up for almost 24 hours at this point. I crashed in the bed when I finally got my room. Of course, all you can think about is what just happened to you. So it was difficult to sleep even though I was exhausted. I woke up probably about 1 o'clock. I went down, got some food, started milling and talking to the other people that had been eliminated. We're all just, it's like someone died. We're all super depressed. We're all walking around with our heads down. But big shout out to the production team, because, none of us wanted to be in that hotel anymore. We just want to go home at this point. Just get me home. I don't want to be here. And they were really great about getting us immediately onto flights. So thank you guys so much for that. It's really appreciated. Like I said, I woke up about 1. I got an email around 4 that I had a flight out that night. So they immediately booked me. And I flew out that same night at about 8 p.m. Toronto time, and flew back home to Vegas. I ended up sitting on the plane. Both of the people on either side of me had been eliminated. So that was funny. Our whole row was eliminated people from the show. But there were people on that flight that had been eliminated the day before too. Like Jeff, who I was talking about. He had to spend a whole night and then get a flight out the next day. And I'm glad I didn't have to do that at least. But when we got off of the flight in Vegas, everybody who had been eliminated during that first episode, we all got together and we took a photo. I'll post the photo right up here. There it is, all of us episode 1 losers from Vegas that were on the show. So that was cool to get our last photo in before we parted ways. And then I had to sit on this information for like 6 months before I can finally talk to you guys about it. So yeah, it was hard. And like I said, for 15 years, I've been trying to get on shows like this. And to finally get my opportunity and have it ripped away in the fashion that it was, to be honest, I still haven't gotten over it. And I don't know if I ever will. But that brings me to the point of this channel that I'm doing, That Challenge Dude. This was the greatest experience of my life. I'm not going to lie. It was some of the most alive that I have ever felt. I was instantly obsessed with everything. The camera work, the storytelling, the other contestants, the relationships, the strategies, the games themselves, the production, the sets. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And all I thought after I got eliminated was, this can't be it. This cannot be it. I need more. I need more. So, all these shows that I've talked about that I've applied for before, the Squid Game and Survivor and Big Brother, Amazing Race, all that stuff, I'm going to keep applying forever. And if you guys are out there watching, please put me on another show, because I guarantee you I'll do better than this one if I have the game in my own hands and it's not completely luck-based like the challenge that I was eliminated in. But I'm praying more than anything in the world that if there's a Beast Game Season 2, I can get a second shot, because I just love it so much and I want to be a part of it as much as I can. And I actually told my wife to apply to Season 2 with me, so I'm really hoping that we can get on together if there's a Season 2. It was so hard to talk to her about it without her actually knowing what happened, so I really want to experience this with her. I think that would be an incredible experience for us. And yeah, I'm just hoping I get another shot eventually. But in the event that I never ever get a shot to be on a show like this again, which is very possible that this was my one shot that I'll ever get, I said, I want to do this. Not on the scale of Jimmy, not on the scale of a Mr. Beast video, obviously, but in that same vein, I've created this channel to start doing challenges and competitions. Obviously, just starting off with me, it would take a very long time and a lot of money to get to the point that I want to get to, but I'm determined to get there. So if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because this is the beginning of a long and crazy journey that I am going to have with you guys. Now, there's always the chance that this fails, right? Maybe people don't like me or don't like what I'm doing, but I would kill myself forever if I didn't try. And yeah, if you hit that subscribe button, that is one step closer to my goal. And the more subs I get, the more money I'll make, the bigger the videos will get. So yeah, we're going to start super small with just me, and then hopefully build and build and build and build. So thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below what you've thought of Beast Games so far. I'll be watching the rest of the season and thinking, dang, I wish I got to do that. I wish I got to do that. But it just wasn't in the cards. So keep watching my videos. I got tons of stuff coming, guys, and maybe you'll see me on TV again someday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.